first thing, like about the survivorship and order of precedence, we have been talking about the trust. Like for if the trust is more, then the record will get promoted into the master record. If the trust is less, it will not get promoted at the base object level, but it will be there at the cross reference level. So as of now, we have just discussed trust, that if the trust is higher or lower, what will happen. But there are some scenarios where the trust might be same, or the trust may not be there for any record, because probably I am getting it from only one system. Then MDM uses this survivorship and order of precedence. So as we know that when the trust and validation rules are applied, when we are trying to merge the records or when we are sending an update for a particular record. In these two scenarios, trust and validation rules are applied. So here we have So first MDM uses the survivorship and order of precedence. So first it goes by the trust score, only if the trust column is a trust enabled. So if the column is trust enabled, it will go with the trust, and the data with the highest trust score wins. So whichever column will have a highest trust value, that will be the surviving in the base object. Now, like if the trust scores are same, or if the trust score is not enabled for a column. So there might be scenarios when the trust score of two records might be same. So you can see how it can be same, because probably I have loaded two records from the same system, or basically I have got two records from the same source system which were loaded on the same day and same time also probably. If we are looking at a yearly basis, then seconds doesn't matter. So we got data loaded on the same day and we have got into the MDM, which is a duplicate record. So the trust for both the records will be same. Or it can be from a different system also, because one system is a higher system, one system is a lower system, and when we are downgrading the trust, after downgrade the trust might come down for both the systems as same. So there are possible scenarios when the trust of two records, which can be from a same system or it can be from a different system, will be same. So so the next condition is if the trust scores are equal, or if the trust is not enabled for a column. Then it proceeds to the next comparison. So now it will take some other columns into consideration. The next column is by SRC LUD date. SRC LUD date is the source last update date, which is there in your cross-reference table. So the data with the most recent cross-reference SRC value wins. So next, when it sees that the trust score is same, or if there is no trust on the columns, it will see which is the latest SRC LUD date. So based on this SRC LUD date, it will try to promote the record into the master record. But that also might be same, because as I just told that the source LUD date can be same because two records were loaded at the same day and same time. So in that case, the SRC LUD date will also be same. So now next it will go to the ROID object. So ROID object, see, if we are merging two records, when you are merging the records, so you will be merging, like for example, we have two records, ROID object 1 and 2. So one is highest, means one of them will be highest in that, means ROID object 2 is highest. So in this case, all the values from ROID object 2 will get promoted into the master record. So if we are doing a merge, it can come only to 3 levels, because it cannot go to the 4th level, because I know that when I am merging couple of records, one of the record will have a highest ROID object. So merge, so two scenarios are there, merge. So merge basically comes to only till 3 levels, and once it comes to the 3 level, third level, row ID object will be there. Based on row ID object, the records will get promoted into the master record, because one of them will have a highest row ID object. But there might be some scenarios where the row ID object is also same. In that case, it will go for the row ID xref value. And row ID xref value, we know that row ID xref value is a unique value. In my cross reference, it cannot be duplicated. So this situation comes in a case of an update, but that also is a very rare, because whenever we get an update, there are possibility that the trust score probably might be same, but the SRC LUD date is always highest, because I am getting an update, and whenever I am getting an update, the SRC LUD date is always highest. So an update also comes maximum to 2 levels. It doesn't goes beyond 2 levels usually, but there are exception conditions where it might go to the 4th level also. So for example, like we had discussed, I will just go through it once again. So this example, we'll see this example like in my base object. So first on the top, what we are seeing. So suppose like in my your base object, you have loaded 2 records. So in this case, this is my cross reference table. In my cross reference also table, I have this row ID object 1 and 2, and the name got inserted. And there is an original row ID object that we had discussed, that original row ID object always have the original values. When the record was loaded into the MDM, what was the original value of this record? So it will also have 1 and 2, and this is my row ID cross reference, which is generated as 100 and 101. So 2 records are loaded into the system. After loading the 2 records, when I ran the match process, it said that these 2 records are duplicate records and they should be merged. So what I did is I merged these 2 records, 1 and 2. So 1 is the surviving record here. So when I merged 1 and 2, the row ID with object which survived is 1, but the value from 2 is survived in the base object. So because I have done a merge, I have merged the second record into the first record. So in the cross reference level, the row ID object value changes, because there is no 2 now. 2 is not present in my base object. I have only 1. So the reference gets changed here. So previously we had 1 and 2, now it is 1 and 1. But original row ID object is again like 1 and 2 only, because this doesn't change. So while looking at this, you can easily identify also here in the cross reference level. If it is 1 and 1 means there is no change. 1, 2 means 2 has been merged into 1. So that's an update scenario. If we have to say that if we are sending an update, suppose that the trust value is same, the SRC LUD is also same, then you can see there are 2 records with row ID object 1. So in this case, if you are sending an update for any particular column, the row ID object is also same here. So that's the third level, row ID object. So in case of update, row ID xref is also same for these 2 records. So next it will go for the row ID cross reference, and row ID cross reference is like 101. So all the values from 101 will get promoted into the master record. So this I was trying to explain the update scenario. Usually it never comes this is very rare condition that the update will come to the fourth level. Usually update goes only to the second level, but some scenarios might be there where it can come to the fourth level, because if it goes to the second level, then it might come to the other levels also, third and the fourth level. Any questions in this survivorship and order of precedence? Okay, so these are the things that it will take into consideration: trust scores, SRC, LUD, ROID object, and the ROID of cross corruptions while it is merging the data or it is getting an update for a particular record, for checking like which record can be promoted into the master record. So now like we will see some other properties which are there in your staging table level.
So if there is no trust on the row, it will take last update date, right?
Yeah, correct. Means if there is no, that is the first scenario, that if there is no trust on a particular column, if there is no trust on the particular column, it will go for the SRC LUD date, that which is the latest source data. So based on that, it will update the records.
Okay,
Update
few
or
columns. Okay, if that is the case, then if few columns are having trust and few are not having trust, in that case,
yes,
how it
yeah, it is always like this, because if you have a table, customer table, probably maybe 5 or 6 columns only will be trusted, and most of them will be non-trusted columns. So for the trusted columns, it will take trust into consideration. So for the trusted columns, it will go with the trust score, and probably suppose like for one of the record the trust is more, it will get promoted. But for the non-trusted column, because there is no trust, it always goes to the second level, and it will go to the CLUD date to know that which is the latest source date. So if any of the record is having like recent SRC LUD date, or everything from that record gets promoted into the master record. And if that is also same, then it will go to the ROID object. So
okay.
merged maximum goes to the 3 levels only. So because it is calculated for every column by column, all these survivorship and order of precedence is calculated at a column level.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Okay. So next, like we'll discuss some properties which are there in your staging table. So probably by now you must have created the staging tables. So if we have created the staging table, we have some properties here. Like first property that we can discuss is allow null foreign key. So allow null foreign key can be used when we know that we might be getting null value for a particular foreign column. The normal Oracle scenario, if we consider, we have a parent table and we have a child table. In the child table, which is I will have a foreign key in which I insert the parent, means the primary key values. But while loading the child records, if you pass wrong data, wrong primary key, or if you pass null value into the primary key, foreign key column, it will all the records get rejected. So same is here also in MDM also. If you are passing a wrong value as a foreign key, or you are passing null value to the foreign key, the record will get rejected. But there might be some scenario where we know that there is a possibility of getting null value into the foreign key column. Especially, for example, if you can see this part, I am in the customer base object, and in the customer base object I have a column named as subcategory row ID. So according to our model, if you check the model, you will see that only the CRM system is giving you the subcategory row ID. The sales system doesn't gives you subcategory or the category information because it is not maintaining at all. In the source system there is no category or subcategory. So I know that sales system cannot give me a category data. So in this case, if I try to load the records, because I have a relationship with this column subcategory row ID and the row ID object of the subcategory. So there is a primary key and foreign key relationship. So when I am loading the data, I will be passing null value into the subcategory row ID. In this case, all the records will get rejected from the sales system. CRM system, all the records will get inserted. But sales, all the records will get rejected because they are passing null value for the foreign key column. So if you know that there are some scenarios like this, and it is fine to insert null value because some customer may belong to a subcategory or some customer may not belong to a subcategory. So in this case, we will use this option, allow null foreign key. So if you use this option, null value, even if we pass null value into this column, and then we'll allow the record to get inserted at the base object level. So this setting is done here in the staging table, but it is affected at the load process because as you know that lookup process happens when you run the load process. During the staging process, nothing happens. Whatever value you are passing in the landing table, it will just copy the value and put that value into your staging table. So at that time, you might pass a null value, you might pass a wrong value. It will not do any check. But whenever you run the load process, then only it will go and look up into the parent table whether these value that you have passed is present or not. So if it is not present, it rejects the record. So in this scenario, we can use this option, allow null foreign key, when you know that there are some records for which you don't have a value and you want to insert those records. Like we have this scenario of sales system. CRM system is giving me the subcategory information, but sales is not giving. So because it is not giving, I need to select this option, allow null foreign key. Otherwise, all my records from sales will get rejected. So this is one of the option, allow null foreign key. The second, which is there here itself, is allow null update. So let me open this KB article is there. So there are allow null update is basically present at two places. So first, the one that we are looking into is allow null update on the staging tables. So when this property is enabled, a column having not null value is updated with a null value during the load job. So see, like in our base object, like we have first name, middle name, last name, all those columns are there. Probably they might suppose you have made all the columns as nullable column as of now because we are doing the development part and according to the lab everything is a nullable column. So that is fine, all the columns are nullable. Suppose you have inserted one record where you have populated everything. You have populated first name value, last name value, middle name value, everything is populated. Even though they are nullable columns, you have populated everything. Now next, at a later point of time, you might pass null value for a particular column. Like you are sending an update. In the update, suppose for the middle name, you are passing null value. So if you are passing null value, MDM will not allow null value to get promoted into the base object level because it is already having some value. So that value will not get replaced with a null value. But if we select this option, if we enable this option, allow null update on the staging table, then it will allow null value to get promoted at the base object level. So for the middle name, we can say middle name is not important for us. Business says that it's fine, middle name is not important for us. We are mainly bothered about the first name and the last name column. So they should be coming correctly. If the middle name is coming as null, that is fine. You can update it with a null value also. So usually we don't select it, but an option is there where you can say that null value will override the non-null value which is present at the base object level. So this is this option, allow null updates. So when this property is disabled, user can prevent null updates and retain the existing non-values for the column. So usually we don't select it, means we don't allow null value to get promoted at the base object level if already there is some value. But if there is some business requirement, like as I discussed about the middle name, that business is not bothered about the middle name column. They say that it's fine. Whatever null value is also coming, you can update it with a null value, because I am not going to take the middle name into consideration. We are going to just take first name and the last name only everywhere into consideration. So for those scenarios, we can select this property, allow null update on the staging table. And there is one more option, allow null update on the base object. So by default, this property is disabled. This also we don't select, means we don't enable this property also. So by default, this property is disabled, which means that the null value are automatically downgraded so that non-null values survive at the base object. So in this case, again, null value is basically downgraded. So in this case, what happens is, this is applicable when you are loading the data using IDD application. Means this is not, the first one is for the batch process. So when you are loading the data using your batch process, means you are running the stage job and the load job. For that purpose, if you want null value to get promoted into your base object, you will select this property, allow null update. But now I am not going through the normal process. I am not going through the batch process. I am using like IDD application, for example. IDD application directly inserts the record into your base object table. It doesn't go through the normal landing table, staging table, and then the base object. It will do a direct insert, update, delete, everything it does on the base object level itself. So now in that case, when you are loading the data using IDD or SOAP UI or any Java program, and you say that I want null value to get promoted at the base object level, like for the middle name, if I am passing null value for the middle name, null value should get promoted into the base object. For that, we need to enable this property. So that property is there in your base object tables. It's very difficult to go to the base object also. So see, this is the property. If you go to a base object column, you will see this apply null values proper checkbox is there. So if you select this option, apply null value, then null value will override the non-null values when you load the data using IDD application, SOAP UI or a Java program. So usually these two options are there, but usually these are very rarely that they will be selected. But an option is there and we should know like when we can select these values. And the last property which is there here is the cell update option. So cell update is basically used only for the trusted columns. Means the columns for which you have enabled the trust, only for those columns the cell update is enabled. So by default it is not enabled, we have to enable it, and we always enable this. If in a base object you have trust enabled, whenever we go and create a staging table, we will always select this cell update option. So we'll see one example of this also. Just open the Excel sheet again, so that we can just see one example how it works. So this example I will use to explain the cell update option, how the cell update works. So I have three columns, first name, middle name and last name columns, on which the trust is enabled. And I am going to load one record from a CRM system. CRM system I have given like a trust of 90 and 20. So 1 year back when I loaded the record, the trust was 90, because that is obvious. Whenever you load the data on the first day, it is always the highest. And from the next day onwards, it might start decreasing. So 1 year back it was 90, the highest value. Today suppose now 1 year has passed and today the trust value is 80, because the trust has downgraded. Based on that whatever downgrades we have given, it has downgraded to 80 suppose. And now today we are sending an update. So in the update we are saying that I am not changing the first name value, I am not changing the last name value, I am just changing the middle name value. I am changing the middle name from like M1 to M12. So update is going only for one column. So now trust score with cell update enabled. If the cell update option is enabled, then what it will do, it will reset the trust score of middle name to 90 again. That is the highest. 90 is the highest trust score of CRM system. So when I send an update for this record, currently it was 80, but once the update has come, the trust is reset to 90, because it is considered as a latest record, and because it is the latest record, so trust value should be highest. So the trust is reset for only this column to 90. But if you don't enable it, trust score without cell update, if you don't enable the cell update option, in this case, for all the columns, first name, middle name and the last name column, the trust gets reset to 90, means the highest value. So that's why we always enable this option, because see, usually in the real time we might not get update for all the columns. We might have multiple columns, but for example, I am living currently in this house and I moved the next house. In this case, just my house address is changed. My locality is same, my city, my zip code, my country, all those things are same. So I am not going to get an update for all these. I am just going to get an update for a single line, address line 1, where my house number is there. Only that's changed. Otherwise everything is changed. Locality is also same, because I just moved the next house. So usually we don't get an update for all the columns. Some of the columns only we will be getting an update. So if I am getting an update for a particular column, we should reset the trust value only for that particular column. So that is why, as a best practice, we always enable this cell update option for all the base objects where trust is enabled. Any questions regarding any of the properties? So these are the three properties which are there at your staging table level: allow null update, allow null foreign key, and the cell update option. The cell update is always selected wherever we have, in whichever base objects we have trust enabled. Cell update is always selected. Allow null foreign key depending on the requirement, and allow null is rarely selected. Means I haven't seen this allow null to be selected as of now, but an option is given in case we want to do that, we can do it. So now we'll just go through the process of inserts and updates, that what happens when we insert the records, what happens, some things like what are the things that happen whenever we update the records. So now we know basically how MDM identifies that an incoming record is a new record or it is an update coming for an existing record. So whenever you run the load job, MDM compares the staging table and the cross-reference table, and in both the tables it will compare two columns, PK source object column and the row ID system. If it is able to find the combination of PK source object and row ID system, means this is an update. An update is coming for that record. If it is not able to find the combination, it knows that this is a new record which is coming into the MDM, and it will insert the records. So that's here process flow diagram, where registering the load job is like just running the load job. So once we run the load job, it will identify that how many records are coming for inserts, how many records are coming as an update. So first it processes the updates. Whatever updates are there, those will get processed first, and then it will process the inserts. It will insert new record into the system, and then it will end the load job. So load process is split into two steps. So all the updates are applied first, and then it loads the new record. So the same thing, whatever I told, is mentioned here again in the PPT. And the remaining records are inserted and are handled after the updates. Now the process for updates. So now let's suppose MDM has compared the cross-reference table and it has compared the staging table, and it has found that a record is coming for an update. So now once it has identified that, it will do one check here. It will check whether the last update date that is coming from a staging table and the SRC LUD date which is there in your cross-reference table. It will do a comparison between both the dates, and it will check whether the last update date is greater than SRC LUD date or not. So that's a check it will do. Because if the last update date is not greater than SRC LUD date, it will not process the records. So that is why even if you, for example, you have run the load job and by mistake you run the load job again, there is no problem because of this situation. Whenever you run the load job, for example, the second time, same load job, you have loaded 100 records in your landing table, you ran the stage job and you ran the load job. Once it is done, again go and try to run the load job. You will see there is an option which is called as a no action. It will just show no action for all the 100 records. It is because of this scenario, because once it compares the last update date and the SRC LUD date, it will see that either it is same or it is less than the last update date is either equal to SRC LUD date or it is less than the SRC LUD date. So it will not process the record. It will just show no action. So usually in the real time as such, we rarely will get this situation where the last update date is less than SRC LUD date or it is like equal to SRC LUD date, because we have taken all the source data and inserted it. Now if the source is giving me an update, for example, if I am loading the source till yesterday, whatever till yesterday night, whatever data the source system has inserted, I have taken all the data and I have loaded it into the MDM. Now today, if they are today when the business opens, they will have some updates which they will send us to MDM tomorrow. So obviously the date will change. The date cannot be same. So usually in the real time we will not see this scenario happening, but some scenarios we might have to do this. Means we might have to use this scenario. For example, especially like in the development part, as I told, like we have loaded some 100 records, and after loading the 100 record, you feel that I have loaded for one of the record, the entry was wrong. I want to update it. So that is when you can update it. You can go to the landing table. You can update, for example, you want to update the middle name column. So you updated the middle name column, saved it, and you ran the stage job and the load job. It will give you no action. Why? Because you have changed the date, you have changed the middle name value, but you didn't change the date in the landing table. If you are modifying the data in the landing table, after it is loaded, you need to change the date. Even if second difference is fine, but there should be some differences. If there is no difference, it will just show no action. So for example, yesterday we had loaded some records. So let us go to the batch viewer. So yesterday we had loaded these records. 3 records we had loaded into the landing table. We were testing this validation rule setup. So yesterday we had loaded 3 records. So now, as of now, I have not made any change. So let us go and run the job again. So I will click on this load job and then click on this execute batch. So see what happened here. Total records 3 and no action is 3. So for all the records there is no action. Because when I ran the stage job, the data, the last update date which is there in your landing, the last update date which is there in your staging table, and the SRC LUD date which is in your cross reference table, they are exactly same. There is no difference between them. So that is why it shows no action. So that is fine, because that's why I told if you want to run the load job multiple times, there is no problem. because once the data is loaded, from next time onwards it will just show no action. But there might be some scenarios where you want to process it. So like as I told, like what I can do, I can go to the staging tables. For example, if I go to the SQL developer and go to my go to my landing table. So I'm going to this table, CLDJ CRM customer, and in this, suppose I am making some changes here to the data. So there is a first name column Joe. I will just change it to Joe1. I am not modifying the dates here. I am not touching the dates. I have just modified the first name column from Joe to Joe1 for one of the records. So now, because probably I think that I have loaded the data wrongly, I had to load Joe1 and I have loaded Joe. So I came in the landing table, I modified the data. After modifying, I am going to run the stage and the load job again. So let us run the stage job and then the load job again. So this is the stage job. So I will run the stage job, which will load 3 records in the staging table. So I have run the stage job and 3 records are inserted into the staging table. Now we will go and do the load job. So now I will execute again, go to the load job and click on the execute batch. Again you see there is no action. I have run the stage job, I have run the load job, but still there is no action. But I want to process this. So you have two options. Either you go back to your landing table, you modify the date and then load the data. In this case, the record will get processed. It will show you that 1 record updated, 2 records no action. So you can do that part. Or second thing, what you can do is you can say that no, it's fine, even if the date is not changed, I want to update it. So in this case, there is this option is there, force update option. So force update is basically used to bypass the check. So it will not do a check whether last update date is greater than SRC LUD date or not. So that check will not be done. So it will be bypassed and everything will get updated here. If I click on the execute, it will show the records are updated. So here you can see records updated 3. So probably you can say why 3 records updated, whereas I have just updated a single record. So specifically only 1 record is updated, but because we have done a force update, the last update date in all the columns have changed because of this force update, and that is the reason why it will show all the records as an update. So updated xref 3, updated 3 means at the base object level also 3 records are updated, at the cross reference level also 3 records are updated. So that's a force update option which we may use. Usually we don't have this issue in the real-time data, because whenever they send an update, they will always have the latest SRC LUD date. But like sometimes we have seen, like we have loaded some records and we want to modify the data. So we go to the landing table, we modify the data, and then we reload the data. But we don't see that it is getting updated at the base object level because of this scenario. So because if it is we are doing in the development environment, that is fine, we can just click on the force update and then just update the record. But sometimes, like one scenario, as I can tell you, like that has happened previously, that was like still development environment only, but still like what was happened, like we had two columns in our landing table, like we had category and the subcategory were there in the landing table. Not exactly category, there were some different columns that I'm just putting the category and the subcategory there. So when the ETL team has loaded the data by mistake in the mapping, they have done the wrong mapping. So in that case, they have said that category was mapped to subcategory and subcategory was mapped to category. So it was reversed basically in the ETL side, and they loaded the data into the landing tables and we processed the data. We loaded the data into our tables. And later on we identified that the data is wrong in both the columns. So now there are two options. Either I can go and change the date in the landing table, which cannot be done. Why? Because that's a business date. From the business side, there is no change. It is because while loading the data through the ETL, there was a problem. The column was mapped wrongly. That is the reason why we got a wrong data in the landing table. So I cannot go and update the date column in the landing table. So I have to use this force update option. So if I use this force update option, so next time we told the ETL to correct the mapping, they corrected the mapping and they loaded the data back again in the landing tables. So at that time the date was same, there is no change in the dates. Only these two columns now have a correct data. So if I go through the normal process, stage job, load job, nothing will happen because as you saw, no action will come. So in these cases, we might have to select this option force update because I know that I have to update it. The values are wrong, I need to update it. So if you use this force update, it will update all the records. So that is like one of the scenarios where we have used this force update option in the real time. Okay, any questions on this? And then the next is like if the staged record is newer or force update equals to 1, means if the last update date which is there in your staging table is greater, or I have used this option force update indicator, then XREF is always updated. In this case, we know that whenever an update comes from a source system, cross-reference table is always updated, irrespective of whether the base object table is getting updated or not, because base object record will get updated based on the survivorship and order of precedence that we have just gone through. So it will take all these into consideration, and then if it feels that it has to be promoted, it will promote it. Otherwise, it will keep that at the cross-reference level only. So XREF always has the latest data, but base object may or may not have that data. Similarly, if the history is switched on, so history can be switched on from the base object, basic tab. In the basic tab of a base object, when we click on a base object, there we have an option for history, enable history. So if we enable the history of a base object, these two tables gets created. These two tables usually don't get created by default. Underscore HIST and underscore HXREF. Underscore HIST is for the base object history and underscore HXREF is for the cross-reference history. So once we enable the history, these two tables basically will get created and they will maintain the changes to the data over a period of time. So that these are the process basically for the insert. So for the updates. So whenever we do an update, only this check is done. Last update date is greater than SRC LUD date or not. If it is not greater, no action will come. If it is greater, the cross-reference table will get updated, and then depending on the trust and other things, it may promote the record into your base object or it might not promote it into your base object. So that's the process of updates. And next, tomorrow. Yes, tell me.
XREF table itself, it will have all the history, right? So what HXREF will maintain the history?
XREF will have only the latest history, latest one. Like what we did just now is we updated the name of first name from Joe to Joe1. So what will happen in your cross reference? Now it will be Joe1, but previously it was Joe. That will be there in your history table. Because I might update, I have made it Joe1. Next time I will say Joe2. Next time I will say Joe3. So I'm just updating 1, 2, 3, 4. So whatever is the latest value that has come, only that latest value will be there in your cross reference. It maintains only one record, but history information will be there in your HIST table. It will have that this record was updated 5 times. So those informations will be there in your these tables, HIST and HXREF, because history, this XREF table always maintains the latest information. If I have updated the name 5 times, it will have the last name. The last time that I have updated, it will have only that entry. But this HXREF table will have all the entries, 6 entries, which will say that what are the 5 older values and the latest value. All the 6 values will be maintained in the HXREF table.
Okay.
Okay, so that was the process for updates. So tomorrow we'll see this inserts, what is the process for inserts and some other things which are related to the load job.
Vinay, that's George.
Yes, George.
Just one question. You told us before that sometimes the source data can come without last update timestamp, right?
Yeah, correct.
So in this case, we populate this last update timestamp with a sys date, which is a processing date.
Yes.
Now, if we are talking about using the last update timestamp in
yeah, correct. If you say that the source doesn't have that date,
deciding like you update or not to update. So then, if we don't have it, if it is system date, it basically will update it every single time.
Yeah. Then if that is the case, then every time it will get updated.
Okay, but it's not a problem, right? It doesn't cause us a problem.
No, it doesn't cause us any problem.
How often those updates are happening actually in real life?
That updates is basically get on the company how frequently they are getting an update. So if the customer is sending an update for addresses, phone number, mobile numbers, or the names, then whatever updates they are getting, they are sending it to us.
Yeah, so it's a master data. It's not updated often, right?
It is updated often. You will be getting a lot of records, like at least like if you say 40,000-50,000 records on a weekly basis.
Oh, really? Yeah, but like one particular record is not going to be updated all the time.
Yeah, correct. That means depend every time customer, like I might, as I told, like I might be updating my, the customer might be updating address every 2 to 3 years. So like this, the company has millions of customers. At least 40-50 millions are the normal data that company has. In the customer table, they have like 40-50 million data, and address is double because every person is having two address. One is house address, one is office address. So if we talk about person data, so every time we fill a form, we have to give like our house address and office address. The company maintain two addresses of each person. So they have like, if there is 40 million customer data, there is 80 million address data, double of that. So customer frequently keeps changing either the home address or the office address. So they keep getting, means frequently updates, not from the same person, but I'm just saying that people keep on changing.
Different customers. So how big this history table can grow? Like how do they grow large or?
Yeah, it can grow. There is no limitation. It will occupy your disk space. That's it. Otherwise, there is no problem.
And do we keep all the? I believe there is an option there to limit amount of history we keep, right?
No, there is no option to limit the history. If we
No?
want, we can. No, it will keep growing. So
What
finally,
what was this? I believe there was some option you were showing us, like to keep for days or months or what was that?
That is a raw basically.
Oh, for the raw data, right? For the raw data.
That is for auditing purpose, because once the data has come into the MDM, the business at a later point of one time, they want to know that what records came into the MDM on a particular date. So that is just for auditing purpose. We keep it for maximum 2-3 months, and then it gets deleted from the table automatically. So that is a raw, but this is a history.
Okay.
History we will usually not delete from the table. Probably if you say that there are a lot of, usually there is no need also for to look into the history tables unless there is some problem. Then only we'll go and check the history table, that what was the older record and what changes has happened to this particular record. Otherwise, there is no point of looking into the history table. Usually, I haven't seen the history table as such. Only there were some issues. For that only we have to go to the history table and check like when this record was updated and who has updated all those records. Just to find out that, you can go to the history table. Otherwise, it is not required. And if you say that the history table is very big and I'm querying it and it is taking a lot of time, then probably we can go for, that is different thing. That's an Oracle partitioning we can do to partition the table so that we can get the data faster.
Yeah, that was my next question. If you use partitioning on else. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Vinay?
Yes.
In the module 2 lab,
Yes.
after running the simulation in the change list,
Okay.
I'm not able to see any changes in my schema. Like I'm not noticing any new objects.
Yeah. So simulation is nothing but it is just checking whether you are, once you actually apply it, whether you will have any errors or not. So once you run the simulation, which is the white button, after the white button there is a yellow button. So that is apply changes. Once you click on the apply changes, then only it will get created. Otherwise, it doesn't get created.
Yeah, like I have clicked on the green button as shown here in the lab document.
Yeah.
After that, I went and I checked in my schema and I don't see any new objects and relationships.
No, it will be there. So if you click on the apply, then it will ask you one more tab will come which will say full rollback or rollback to last change.
Yeah, I clicked on full rollback.
Yeah, so there was no error. It showed that it applied successfully.
At last it showed some error.
Yeah, the error was there. That is why it rolled back everything.
Okay.
So just what you do is once the error comes, you just copy that error messages and send it to me. I will just check and let you know why that error is.
Sure. Yeah, I'll do it now. Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks. Okay, thanks everyone. We will continue tomorrow again with this.
Yeah, thanks, Vinay. Bye.
Okay, bye.